I'd like to encourage the participants of the Building Next Generation program to really enjoy their year, to take on the messages from the speakers, but also to pick up on any opportunities. Don't let a door close, and really, if an opportunity presents, to have a really good look at it, and to take on leadership lessons, because that's how you grow.
Firstly is make the time. For me, I find there's no use having all these opportunities if you can't make the time to learn from those opportunities. So the first thing is just commit, as you would for a gym.
So, for me, leadership is about the decisions that we make every day. So sometimes they're just decisions that we make in the schoolyard or within our own families, but or sometimes they're in an organisation or through a leadership position that we have.
We say in Africa it's a good idea to teach people how to fish rather than to give people fish. And today is the first step. We started to teaching them how to fish, so tomorrow they can become independent in their life.
Well, I was very pleased, first of all, to find out that there was a leadership program for this group of people in our community, young people. And then I was very pleased to meet them because they came to council, to the offices for part of their program, and we were able to give them quite a bit of information about council and how it works, and also looking at the boardroom where we make the decisions. And I was able to speak to them about my role as mayor.
Some skills, some networks, definitely some networks. These people that are being put in front of the group are their potential future networks, and don't be afraid to contact them. I'd love to leave that message, because I think too often you do a program and you think, I've got their details, but really, should I contact them? Don't be afraid. Go ahead and do it. Yeah.
And just dream about something that gets you excited, gets you out of bed, and then you look at where you're at now, and then how do you get a pathway to get there, and use everybody around you with their knowledge and information to help you.
Explore what you can be good at that is good for yourself, your community and the nation. And realise that's probably going to require some work, some study, some work experience, but see that as a challenge and a wonderful thing to do. And live beyond just self. Don't just think, is that going to be good for me? Is that going to give me a big salary? Is that going to make me captain of the team? No, think also, is that going to have me contributing to this amazing place?
I would say stay curious. The more questions that you ask, the more your mind is opened up to possibilities and different things that you never would have considered before. I didn't even know that there was a foreign service, and yet through the questions that I asked and the curiosities that I had, it's led me to an absolute dream career.
Really to listen, that's one element that leaders exercise, one attribute leaders exercise every day in their lives, and also not to close the door on any opportunities.
And where you want to lead people, and there's no shortcut to that. And often that's as much about listening to people as it is about talking to them. And it's about making sure that you have a sense of empathy with the issues and the challenges that are facing people. I think having all of those abilities is as much about leadership as confidence is, although confidence is important.
I think particularly for people who've come from somewhere else where there are great cultural differences, I think the most important one really is to enjoy who they are, and to recognise what they bring, the differences they bring, and if they're going to be leaders, they need to lead with their character. And that comes from their parents and their grandparents, and the things they know that I don't know. The words that they have in their language, for which there is no English. These are great strengths.
This was really important to speak to this group today. Young, new to Shepparton, but are going to play an important role in Shepparton's future, learning about some of the aspects, such as management of water.
My name is Fatima Abdallah. I'm a second secretary at the Kenya High Commission in Canberra. I think a leader is basically a relative subject, and anybody can become a leader irrespective of your race or your religion, background, where you came from. I like to motivate young people because I'm also a young person, and I love to instill inspiration to them. I think it's the fact that Australia is a country of diversity and multiculturalism. That makes many people, many immigrants feel at home.
I'm very lucky in the sense that my father was an asylum seeker and an immigrant to Australia, and my mother was a teacher for her whole life. So with both of those things, I got an understanding of the value of education and also understanding how important that is for migrants to become productive members of society. And so in the end, my grandmother and grandfather both separately left with people smugglers as asylum seekers to West Germany, which they did successfully. And then my father, alone with his, as a 10-year-old with his 7-year-old brother, crossed the border to West Germany with a false passport. I understand the hardships that people have gone through. Not a lot of Australians necessarily do, but hearing today one of the stories about how the boy ended up being in Australia, I always find these sorts of stories very moving. And I think it's a very important part of Australians understanding where migrants have come from and how they've ended up here. I think people have a greater understanding of that. I think it leads to greater acceptance, a better integration and a better future.
I thought they were very engaged. They were very, very interested. The questions were searching, and I thought that showed that was a good sign. Well, it's not only fantastic that that's happening and that people are organising that to happen, and through the LEN, this is a wonderful program, but it's great to have that opportunity because these are the leaders of tomorrow.
I think the first thing is take as much advantage as you possibly can of the world-class public education system we have in Australia. We are so fortunate that anybody, regardless of how much money they have, regardless of what race they are or country they're from, have access to essentially a free world-class public education system. Your education is your key for prosperity.
It can be hard to get started and to find your direction as a person. All I can say is just get out there, be a part of the world. You may be doing one thing or you may be doing many things. And your true passion, your direction, it will emerge from being involved by doing things.
Sometimes you need a touch of humility as well to just make sure that you keep your feet on the ground, because it's very hard to lead if you don't have that.
You can be the change that you want to be. Everything is possible. Whatever the human mind perceives, it can always achieve. Yes.
My hope for the future is that everybody strives to make the society we live in sustainable. That means in 50 years' time, 100 years' time, my great-grandchildren can enjoy swimming in the river that I enjoy swimming in.
Despite humble upbringings, many people can really seed to really greatness in their life just by keeping their eye out for opportunities and always being willing to empower other people along the way.
So I would say to everyone, if you want to be a great leader, you first be really good at being who you are. And that, inspires those around you.
So stay curious, ask questions, and don't think that you ever have all the answers.
It's really been an absolute pleasure working with the Building a New Generation group this year, particularly going to Canberra and just seeing the growth.
My name's Cami, I'm from Shepparton. Everybody has a different view to leadership, and all of those aspects combined makes a good leader.
My name's Nyandeng Ajak. I've met people from all different kinds of organisations. The key point that stood out to me was never giving up.
Talking to the ministers was interesting because you see them on the TV, and when you sit down and talk to them, they've got kids, they've got a family, they're just like everybody else.
This program gives you a bigger picture of how society and business and everything works. If you try this program, you'll achieve something bigger than you think you can.
I really do think that a great way to grow as a person is to contribute, to give. That can be with your family, your work, your community.